The Truth the Girls.
Hi everyone. You've been asking me for a while to do a video about Donald Trump, the truth about Trump. So I've been investigating and here's what I found. First of all, I just want to let you know I'm actually Canadian and I'm not going to be voting in the American election, so I have no vested interest in promoting any one of your candidates. So the first thing I want to address is the way Trump has been portrayed in the media. And if you really want to know the truth versus the media spin, I'd recommend this video by Stéphane Molyneux, The Untruth About Donald Trump. What he did was he went and looked at all these things the media was saying and traced them back to the source of the comments they were referring to and found out the context of it. And, you know, largely it turns out that the media just puts a really big spin on everything Donald Trump says. Which is not really a surprise because the media pretty much does that about everything anyway. So is Trump really a bigot, a sexist, and a racist? Well, the media probably makes him out to be bigger ones than he is, although he probably is one anyway. I mean, what do you expect? He's like the alpha male of all alpha males. It's kind of normal for that type of person. But here's an example of how the media spun something. Donald Trump was talking about the border with Mexico, and he said Mexico doesn't, when they send their people, they don't send the best. They send, you know, the rapists and the criminals and all this kind of thing. And people took it to mean that he says that Mexicans in America, Mexican immigrants, Mexican Americans are just a bunch of lazy, good-for-nothing criminals and rapists. But it's really not what he said. And if you look at what kind of people do come over illegally, well, there is a lot of rape involved, although the women crossing are the victims. I mean, 60% of women who are crossing the border illegally are victims of sexual assault. You know, does a lot of crime, drug traffic and all these things cross? Yeah, sure. But that doesn't mean that he said all Mexican Americans are like that. If I learned one thing from this analysis by Stéphane Molyneux, it's that when it comes to media, Trump is some kind of genius. I mean, he's really an expert at marketing using the media, and it seems like he intentionally uses hyperbole and will do things that are outrageous because in his mind, you know, even bad publicity is still good publicity because it's still publicity. He's the kind of guy that could get really bad press and then turn it around and make it work for him. Not everyone can do that, but Trump can. So the question was, is the media portrayal of him being a big racist bigot and whatever else accurate? I don't think so. I think it's a bit blown out of proportion. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have those tendencies anyway, but they do inflate everything he says. Question number 2, is Trump part of the New World Order? Short answer, yes. For this, I refer you to this video from We Are Change. Is Donald Trump part of the New World Order? He's making the horns there. I mean, the question is Donald Trump part of a secret society? And to sum up what's going on here, Newt Gingrich says he's an outsider. Trump is an outsider. He's not part of Bohemian Grove or whatever. He's not a member of a secret society. So, oh wow, he's an outsider, and maybe he's really going to change things, or not. No, he's not really an outsider, as it turns out. He says that he gets his advice from Richard Haass, who's president of the CFR and a Bilderberger. So, I mean, he may not be a member of Bohemian Grove or whatever, or what, Skull and Bones, but, you know, he's definitely affiliated with the same people. So he's not really an outsider. Okay, as for Trump's own website, let's go and look at Trump's website and his policies. Well, I looked at things on U.S.-China trade reform, tax reform, and immigration reform. Let's start with immigration. If you go to the page, the first thing you see is 3 main points. A nation without borders is not a nation. 2, a nation without laws is not a nation. And 3, a nation that does not serve its own citizens is not a nation. Now, with any of those, you'd have to say, I agree. And at the same time, you'd say, what does that really mean? Because these are what are called glittering generalities, sort of propaganda technique, making these statements that nobody can disagree with, and yet they're not really saying much. So what does Trump want to do about immigration? Well, put up a wall between the US and Mexico and make Mexico pay for the wall. Good luck making Mexico pay for the wall. So what else is he going to do? Triple the number of ICE officers. Mandatory return of all criminal aliens. As in, if you're an illegal alien and you're arrested for a crime, that they're going to deport you back to your own country. You know, the problem is really with criminal gangs, not with Mexicans. And it seems to me the way to solve this problem would be more like make immigration to legit people more easy and make it more difficult for gangs to get in. You gotta do something about the gang problem. Catching people and deporting them has been shown not to work, because they just go back to their own country. Now they've learned all this stuff about organized crime in the US. They go back over there, they become like head honchos, and they network with the gangs in America. They just create gangs wherever they go back to and network, and then more people come over. It didn't work. They've tried that before. What do gangs do? They sell drugs. If you really want to deal with the gang problem, you've got to deal with the drug problem. In my opinion, to make it short, the best thing to do about drugs is to just legalize them. Maybe have them under government control if you have to do that. Legalize the drugs, the gangs have nothing to work with. Take the wind out of the sails of the drug gangs, and they won't be coming over the border, they won't be selling drugs, and you'll take a big chunk out of that problem, just like that. So he's talking about cooperating with local gang task forces, all this kind of stuff, but those gangs are very, very well entrenched. I don't think it's going to be so easy to get rid of them. And it's not just Mexicans or immigrants who are in them. I mean, it's Americans. So what you're really talking about here, again, it's the gang problem. What are you going to do about that? Deport them? Make a wall? I don't think that's going to solve the problem. Oh, here's something he said on immigration, that we shouldn't have Muslims immigrating to the U.S. because it doesn't make sense to allow immigrants from a country you're at war with. Fair enough. Maybe, yeah, that doesn't make sense so much. But why are you saying Muslims? Islam is a religion, so you're really discriminating against people of a particular religion, regardless of what country they're from. So to me, that is just really prejudice. I don't agree with that. And for those of you who say, oh, you just don't understand Muslims, you don't know Muslims. Well, I live in Montreal. We have a lot of Muslims here. We have a lot of Arabs, especially in my neighborhood. I mean, there were times where I'd walk down the hall in my building and you just hear everybody doing their prayers all at the same time, because there were so many Muslims on the floor. They were always okay, fine people, you know. I don't really see any problem. We have a lot of Muslims here, and we don't have terrorism. They're not doing anything. They just live their lives just like everyone else. Put American workers first. Decades of disastrous trade deal and immigration policies have destroyed our middle class. You know, a lot of his argument is sort of the same old, they come over here and they take our jobs. A lot of the jobs that they take are very low level, very low paying jobs. You know, those kind of jobs, I mean, it's not like people are coming over as illegal immigrants and, you know, rising up in middle management, you know, buying a house in the suburbs. A lot of times they're doing really low wage jobs that Americans don't really want to do so much anyway. He talks a lot about bringing industry back to America and hiring Americans. To do this, he wants to like restructure trade with China, make it, he says, free trade but fair trade, no more sweatshops. He wants there to be taxes on goods that are imported from outsourced labor. He wants to lower corporate tax in America from, I think, 35% to 15%. Okay, would that solve the problem? Would it create jobs? You need jobs, no doubt. You know, Trump is a businessman. I mean, he's like a genius at this. Head of corporations. So he would probably be a really good person to run America on the business end, because America is, after all, a corporation. So could Trump make money for America? I think he could. Whose pocket is that money going to end up in? That's the question. So in the end, overall, what I see is his comments are blown out of proportion. He seems to know exactly what he's doing. I don't think he's doing this to be a decoy, or it's like as a big joke or anything, a charade. I think he really is running for president. Some people doubt it. I think he knows very well what he's doing with the media. I think he's corporate genius. He could probably run the corporation of the U.S., make money for it. Where's that money going to end up, though? I'm not so sure. And how much changes are really going to be in your day-to-day life, in your quality of living, your standard of living? I'm not so sure that much is really going to change. It could just be sort of more of the same. Is he really going to make America great again? I don't know. America kind of is still great. I mean, give yourself some credit. But is he going to make it a prosperous place where you don't have a huge gap between the rich and the poor? I'm not so sure about that. You might have a lot of working poor, maybe less unemployment, but still poor. And on the other hand, some people might just be really rich. He's a corporatist and he's going to run America like a corporation. Who do corporations usually make money for? The people at the top. He's not a secret society, but he's affiliated with people who are. Economic reform in the US, yeah, probably, but how well is it going to work out for you? That would remain to be seen. Let me know what you think. Would you vote for Trump, or who would you vote for, and why? So thanks for leaving me your comments. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for giving me a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time.